Jai Gurudev and good morning children. Hope all are doing good and gone through the video for the first chapter crop production and management. And now in this video we are going to see about metals and non-metals, which is chapter 4 in your textbook. Now in this chapter we are going to learn what is a metal, what is a non-metal, physical properties of metals and non-metals, chemical properties of metals and non-metals, and the uses of metals and non-metals. Now, before entering into the concept, let us recall the chapter Chemical and Chemical Changes that we have learnt in class 7. In the chapter Chemical and Chemical Changes, we have learned the definition for atoms, molecules, elements, compound, pure substance, etc. So let us start with atom. Atom. Atoms are the smallest particle of a substance that characterizes that substance. For example, atom of hydrogen is the smallest particle of hydrogen that has the properties of hydrogen. And atom consists of small particles called protons, neutrons and electrons. Protons are positively charged and neutrons are of no charge and they make up the nucleus of the atom. The electrons move around the nucleus and they are negatively charged. Then the next definition we learnt was the element. An element is a chemical substance consisting of atoms having the same number of protons in their atomic nuclei. Around 118 elements have been identified, of which first 98 occur naturally on Earth and other 20 are artificially made. In the next slide, I've shown you the periodic table of elements consisting of metals, metalloids and non-metals. Next, we'll see the classification of elements. See, elements are classified mainly into three types. The first one is metal and the second one is non-metal and the third category is called as metalloids. Now, let us see what a metal is. A metal is a material that is typically hard, opaque and shiny and has a good electrical and thermal conductivity. There are around 88 metals in the periodic table, which I have shown you in the previous slide. In other words, we can say metals are elements whose atoms lose electrons to form positive ions. Examples of metals are sodium, potassium, copper and aluminium. Whereas non-metals are elements whose atoms gain electrons to form negative ions. Examples of non-metals are oxygen, carbon, chlorine, fluorine, etc. Next, we are going to see the occurrence of metals. Listen children, very few metals such as gold, silver, platinum, mercury, they exist in nature in the free or native state. These metals are also called as noble metals and are not very reactive. Most other metals are more reactive and occur in nature in the combined form as compounds such as oxide, carbonate, sulfide, etc. These naturally occurring compound of metal are called as minerals. So a mineral from which a metal can be extracted conveniently and profitably is called as ore. In this slide, I've shown you some metals and their ores. So the metal aluminium is extracted from its ore bauxite. Metal copper is extracted from its ore copper glans or cuprite. The metal iron is extracted from its ore hematite, siderite, iron pyrite. And the metal silver is extracted from its ore argentite. And next is the metal zinc It is extracted from its ore, zinc blende or calamine. Next, let us see the physical properties of metals. The first property is metals are generally hard and strong. They are strong enough to bear heavy loads. Except sodium and potassium, they are soft, solid metals which can be cut with a knife. And mercury is a liquid under room temperature. The second property we are going to see is lustrous. See, mostly metals are lustrous. This means they give shiny appearance when they are freshly cut. This property uses the metals to be used in jewelry. The third property we are going to see is malleability, which means they can be beaten into thin sheets. So this can be used for making curved shapes like car, fenders, fans, etc. The next property of metal is ductility. This means that metals can be drawn into wires. This property is used for soldering wire, chains, electrical wires, etc. The next property is conductors of heat, or we can otherwise call it as thermal conductivity. This is the ability of a substance to allow heat to flow through it. So this property helps us in making cooking vessels using metals. The next property is conductors of electricity. Metals are very good conductors of electricity and they are used in making electrical wires and cables, etc. The next property is metals are generally hard and they are used for making many machineries and building materials, etc. The next property is sonority. This means they produce a ringing sound when they are hit. So this property allows it to be used for making bells. The next property is mostly metals have high melting point and that is why they are used in places where there is the exposure to high temperature. Metals have high density. This means that the weight per unit volume is high. And finally, mostly metals are in solid state. Next, we'll see about nonmetals. Nonmetals are elements whose atom gain electrons to form negative ions. Next is occurrence of nonmetals. Nonmetals such as hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and sulfur can be found in nature in the free state or as compounds. Other nonmetals occur mainly as compounds. A nonmetal is a material that is dull, softer. It mostly lacks metallic attributes. Physically, nonmetals tend to be highly volatile, which means they can be easily vaporized and they have low elasticity and are good insulators of heat and electricity. So insulators are materials that does not allow heat or electricity to pass through. There are 17 elements that are generally classified as nonmetals. Mostly they are gases, that is hydrogen, helium, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, chlorine, argon, krypton, xenon and radon. And one is a liquid nonmetal, that is bromine, and few other are solid. They include carbon, phosphorus, sulfur, selenium and iodine. Now let us see the physical properties of nonmetals. In contrast to metals, nonmetals are not known for their strength. Usually they are lusterless, which means they are not shiny in appearance, except graphite and iodine. Graphite and iodine are nonmetals, but they are shiny in appearance. Then the second property is brittle. They are not solid, they become powdery. And the third one, they are bad conductors of heat and electricity except graphite. and they are non-sonorous, which means they will not produce a ringing sound when they are hit. Of the 24 non-metals known today, 12 are solids, which I told you before, and 11 are gases. So examples are given. So 12 solid non-metal are carbon, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, and one liquid is bromine, and gases include hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, helium, neon, and argon. They are under ordinary conditions. In the next slide, I've shown you the difference between metals and non-metals with this property. So at one glance, you can easily learn. The next slide, I've given you some exceptional cases. See, carbon, it is a non-metal, but it conducts electricity. Generally, we said that non-metals are poor conductors of electricity and heat. Whereas in case of carbon, it is a non-metal, but it will conduct electricity, just like metals. Next one is iodine. Iodine is also a non-metal, but it is lustrous. It shows shiny appearance, like metals. See, we learned that all metals are hard, but whereas in case of sodium, potassium and lithium, they are metals, but they are very soft, just like non-metals. And see, carbon in the form of diamond is a non-metal, but which is extremely hard like metal. Next is mercury. Mercury is a metal, but it is liquid at room temperature. We have learnt that metals have got high melting and boiling point. Whereas in case of sodium, potassium, cesium and gallium, they are metals, but they have low melting points. Whereas in case of diamond, it is a non-metal, but it has got a very high melting and boiling point. The next concept we are going to see is the chemical properties of metals. So first we are going to see a metal, when it reacts with oxygen, it forms metal oxides. So I've given you some examples. When copper is a metal, when it is heated and it combines with oxygen, it forms copper oxide. So Cu plus O2 gives 2Co. And aluminium is a metal, and when it is heated, it combines with oxygen to form aluminium oxide. So Al plus O2 gives Al2O3, balancing the equation you have already learnt in grade 7. Some metal oxides are basic oxides because they react with water to form bases. Example, sodium is a metal, and when it reacts with oxygen, it forms sodium oxide. So sodium oxide, when they combine with water, they form sodium hydroxide, NaOH. Then potassium, when they combine with oxygen, they form potassium oxide. So in turn, potassium oxide plus water, they form potassium hydroxide. So some metal oxides show acidic and basic properties, and they are called as amphoteric oxides. Example, aluminium oxide, zinc oxide, etc. Next, we are going to see the reactivity of different metals with oxygen. Metals like potassium and sodium, they react vigorously with oxygen and catch fire if kept in open. Hence, they are stored in kerosene to prevent burning. Next, second, if magnesium is heated, it burns with a bright flame. If iron is heated, it glows brightly. If copper is heated, it does not burn but forms a black coating of copper oxide. Silver and gold does not react with oxygen even at high temperature. Some metals like magnesium, aluminium, zinc, lead, etc., they form oxide layer over it which will prevent further oxidation. They are also called as self-protecting metals. Next, we are going to see the reaction of non-metals with oxygen. Non-metals, when they react with oxygen, they form non-metallic oxides. These oxides are acidic in nature, and when they are dissolved in water, they form acid. And this will turn the blue litmus paper to red. So carbon plus oxygen, it gives carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, when they react with water, they form H2CO3, that is carbonic acid. Same way with sulfur, when sulfur react with oxygen, they form sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide, when they react with water, they form sulfurous acid. Next, we'll see the reaction of metals with water. Metals, they react with water to form metal oxides or metal hydroxides, and they liberate hydrogen. Example, sodium, when they react with water, they give sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is evolved. Same way, potassium with water, potassium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is given out. Calcium with water, it gives calcium hydroxide plus hydrogen. Aluminium plus water, aluminium oxide plus hydrogen is given out. Iron with water, it gives iron oxide plus hydrogen gas is given out. The reactivity of different metals with water is different. Sodium and potassium, they react violently with cold water to form sodium hydroxide and hydrogen, and they catch fire. Calcium, they react less violently with water to form calcium hydroxide and water and does not catch fire. Same way, magnesium, they react only with hot water to form magnesium hydroxide and hydrogen is given out. Metals like aluminium, iron, zinc, they react only with steam to form the metal oxides and hydrogen. Metals like lead, copper, silver and gold, they do not react with water. Next, we'll see the reaction of metals with acid. Metals, when they react with dilute acids, they form metal salts and hydrogen. Magnesium, in dilute hydrochloric acid, it gives magnesium chloride plus H2. Same way, aluminium, it gives AlCl3, it's aluminium chloride plus hydrogen. Zinc, zinc chloride plus hydrogen. Iron, iron chloride plus hydrogen. Then, the reactivity varies from metal to metal. For the above metals are decreasing order of reactivity, that is magnesium, aluminium, zinc and iron. We'll be learning the reactivity series in the next slide. Copper, silver and gold do not react with dilute HCl. Hydrogen gas is not evolved when metals react with nitric acid because it is a strong oxidizing agent and it oxidizes the hydrogen produced to water and is itself reduced as oxides of nitrogen. Whereas in case of non-metals, they do not react with dilute acids. Next, we'll see the reaction of metals with bases. Only certain metals such as zinc, aluminium and lead will react with strong base such as sodium hydroxide to form compounds and they release hydrogen gas. For example, zinc reacts with sodium hydroxide to form sodium zincate and hydrogen gas. Zn plus NaOH is sodium hydroxide, it gives sodium zincate plus hydrogen. Next, we are going to see the reactivity series of metals. The arranging of metals in the decreasing order of their reactivity is called the reactivity series of metals. See, the chemical reactivity of metals decreases as we go down the metal reactivity series. So this implies that a metal placed at the higher up series is most reactive than the metal placed lower down the series. So here potassium and sodium are most reactive elements and they are placed at the top of the series. And the metals like silver, gold and platinum are considered to be the least reactive as they are placed at the end of the series. Next comes the displacement reaction. that is the reaction of metals with metal salt solution. A more reactive metal will displace a less reactive metal from its salt solution. So this reaction we call as displacement reaction. So here magnesium displaces copper from copper sulfate solution. See, magnesium in copper sulfate solution, it forms magnesium sulfate plus copper comes out. Same way, zinc displaces copper from copper sulfate solution. Zinc plus copper sulfate solution gives zinc sulfate plus copper comes out. Same way, iron displaces copper from copper sulfate solution. Iron plus copper sulfate gives iron sulfate plus copper comes out. As copper is less reactive than magnesium, zinc and iron. The next concept we are going to see is corrosion. Corrosion is the damage caused to metals due to the reaction of metals with oxygen, moisture and carbon dioxide. Example, formation of brown coating of rust over iron. Next, second one, formation of green coating of basic copper carbonate over copper. Third one, formation of black coating of silver sulfide over silver. To show that the air and moisture are necessary for rusting of iron, take 3 test tubes, mark 1, 2, 3 and put iron nails in each of them. Put some anhydrous calcium carbonate in the test tube 1 to absorb moisture. Pour some boiled distilled water in the test tube 2 and pour some oil over it to prevent air into the test tube. Pour some water in test tube 3. Cork the test tubes and leave them for few days. The nails in test tube 1 does not get rusted because it has only air and no water. The nails in test tube 2 does not rust because it had only water and no air. The nails in test tube 3 gets rusted because it had air and water. One important fact is aluminium, they does not corrode easily because it is protected by aluminium, a coating of aluminium oxide. So this coating is formed when a newly cut aluminium is first exposed to air. So this oxide forms a layer which is not visible to our naked eye. So that is why aluminium will not corrode easily. See, rusting is not good because over time the iron object will become weak. So now how to prevent this corrosion? So corrosion of metals can be prevented by applying oil or grease, by applying paint, by galvanization. Galvanization is nothing but coating the metal first with zinc. And next is by tinning. Tinning is coating with tin. And by electroplating, coating a less reactive metal like chromium. Then by alloying, by making alloys. So alloy is nothing but an homogeneous mixture of metal with other metals, which means steel is an alloy of iron and carbon. Stainless steel is an alloy of iron, carbon, cobalt and nickel. Brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. Bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. Solder is the alloy of lead, tin. So if one of the metals is an alloy of mercury, it is called as amalgam. We are going to see the uses of metals. Iron is used for making machinery, buildings, car, motorcycle, ships, bridge, etc. And copper is used in making electric wires, statue, etc. Aluminium is used in making kitchen utensils, electric wire, etc. Gold and silver are used in making ornaments. Platinum are used in catalytic converters for vehicles to convert harmful emissions from the engine of vehicles into less harmful substances. Lead is used in car batteries. Mercury is used in thermometer, fluorescent lamp and even in chemical industries. Tin is used to coat other metals to prevent corrosion, which we already learnt it as tinning, and zinc is mostly used in galvanization to protect iron from rusting. Next, we'll see the use of nonmetals. Oxygen, which we breathe, is a non-metal. Without oxygen, no one can live. Next, sodium chloride cannot be formed without chlorine. It is a non-metal which we use to enhance the taste of food. So, without using common salt, food is tasteless. We all know this. Nitrogen is used for making fertilizer. Coal, which is carbon, and it is used as fuel. Next is hydrogen is used in manufacture of ammonia for making agricultural fertilizer. Sulfur is a non-metal used to manufacture compounds such as sulfuric acid and sulfates. It is also used in vulcanization of rubber and in manufacture of fungicides and pesticides, and is also used in skin ointments. Silicon is used in electronics and computer industries. Iodine is used in medicine and as disinfectant. The last concept for the chapter is metalloid. Metalloid have unique properties that are intermediate between those of metals and non-metals, which means they possess the characteristics of both metal and non-metal. For example, they have low electrical conductivity at room temperature, but under certain conditions, they may conduct electricity. So this is why metalloids are called as semiconductors. They are used in transistors, solar batteries, ceramics, and polymers. Now let us see the summary of the chapter. We learnt what are metals, what are non-metals, physical properties of metals and non-metals, chemical properties of metals and non-metals, uses of metals and non-metals. Thank you, children.